Hey everybody, it's Paula here from the Excel Club and welcome to today's video. In today's video, we are going to look at connecting to the Coinmarketcap API to get current ticker information for cryptocurrencies. Now, I produced a video on this in the past, and this video is a result of people asking for it based on the previous video. So the previous video was based on connecting to data on a web page, but CoinMarketCap have changed how they work. And now to get data, you need to have an API key and you need to connect to an API. Now, the API itself is very easy to get. I'm going to walk through that in a couple of minutes, but there's a free version and a paid version. And what we're going to look at today is available on the free version. Now, you'll also find a link below this video back to my website and to a blog post. And in there, you're going to find all the links and all the other details that you need so you can follow along, and you can also connect to CoinMarketCap API and pull down your cryptocurrency value information. So before we get stuck into this video, I do hope that you will subscribe to my channel now. Give this video a big thumbs up. And don't forget to share it across your social profiles. So I'm on the CoinMarketCap website at the moment. Now, to get to the API, if we go to products and then we go to crypto API. Now, if you don't have an API, if you have an API, you can log in. If you don't, just hit get your API key now. Let's quickly look at the pricing here, because what we're going to do is on this free plan. So you can get your free API key here. So you've got 9 market data endpoints. You've got 10,000 credit calls a month, no historical data, and it's for personal use. So you can't get historical data here. Now, if you're looking at some of the main cryptocurrencies and you have Excel 365, you can get some of the historic data using the stock history function. And I have a separate video on that. I'll drop a link to that as well below this video, but it doesn't work for all cryptocurrencies. So you're going to sign up and you are going to get your API key. And once you sign in, you will be on a developer's dashboard like this, and you have your overview. And here is your API key. Now, this is my current API usage and what I've used and all the different calls that I've made. Now, in here, you will also find the API documentation. So we are going to need that documentation as well, and we'll go through that in a couple of minutes. So for the moment, we will stay in the account and we will have a look at the API calls that we are going to make. So I have here on my screen 4 API calls that I have created that we're going to connect to using Excel. So the first thing you need to know is this HTTPS pro API coinmarketcap.com/version1/. That is your base URL of where you're going to go to. After this, these cryptocurrencies, quotes, pricing lists, these are API end calls. Now, what we'll do is we will go into the documentation here. And in our documentation, we can see the endpoint overview. So we've got cryptocurrency, exchange, global metrics, and so forth. Now, some of these are not available with the free plan. So if we hop down to cryptocurrency, it then goes through how to create the endpoints for listing latest, listing historical, quotes, latest market pairs, all these different endpoints here. And you can go ahead and you can play around with it. But we see we have the version 1 cryptocurrency / map, for example. So that's the second half of the HTTPS request that you are going to send. So we have created, if we go into Excel, we have created our first endpoint. Well, I've started to create the first endpoint here. And this is looking at quotes, and it's looking at the latest, and it's looking for a symbol. Now, I have to put a symbol in here. So we could say BTC, LRC, ADA, and each one that you put in, you separate by a comma. So now we have that URL created. I'm going to go to our data ribbon, and in our data ribbon, this is Excel 365. I'm going to say connect to from web, and this is going to open up our connection dialog box. So we have from web here, and I'm going to paste in our URL. It's just that simple. Once we've created it, so it always begins with the proapi.com/version1 and then the endpoints as per the documentation that we looked at. Now I'm going to go into advanced because it's very important that you enter your API key here and some header information. Now I'm going to shoot back for a moment to our documentation. So in documentation under authentication, we see this preferred method via custom header, and we have this custom header name. I'm going to copy this, and back into Excel, I'm going to put that into my header. Now it's looking for our API key. So again, I will go back into my Coinmarketcap. And this is my API key, and I'm going to copy the key. I'll then disable and regenerate a new key because it's going to be seen on the screen here. So once I've copied my key, we can place our key in here in our header request and say, okay. So that's gone now and is fetching this information from the internet, and it's opening up the Power Query editor. Now the Power Query editor finds this as a JSON document, and what we have to do now is we have to go down and extract the information from a JSON document. Now if you want to know more about JSON documents, I have a video and a blog post on it which I will put in the link below. So what we're going to do is go to data, and in data we have a record for ADA, Bitcoin and Loopring, and we will then convert this into a table. When we convert it into a table, our records need to be expanded. So we'll expand these records. Now, for the moment, I'm going to expand for absolutely everything, but I'm not going to use the original column name as my prefix. Now we see all of the fields have been opened up for us, and we can scroll across in the data and see. Now we see that some fields have not been opened up. For example, our tags haven't been opened up. Now if we click on one of these, we see what is included in the tags, but we can also see that our quote hasn't. Now the default setting, unless you use a convert, is US dollar, and you're going to get it in US dollar. So now it's converted into a record. We can then expand this and say okay, and then all of the current pricing for them particular items comes in. Now this is Power Query. If you're new to Power Query, there's some transformation steps that you will need to make in the data so you can use it properly. These are your applied steps. You can go back through your applied steps at any stage. At the top here, we have some data types. So we can see that this is coming in as a number text data type, but this is percentage change. So really we should go to transform data type, and I'm going to change this to a decimal number. Now, because it is a decimal number, it doesn't just convert into percentages properly. What we need to do is divide each of these columns. So we will select divide by 100. And once we divide it by 100, we can then change the type again to an actual percentage type. Now you can go ahead and do that for the other percentage columns as well if you want to. Now, what else can we do in here? If we go back to our source, we can see our source code up here. We can go through each step, one step at a time. Now, when we expanded this values, we see this little icon over here. We're going to go back in here, and we don't want the ID, we don't want the number of market pairs, the date added, the tags. We don't want is active platform, is fiat last updated, and we do want the quote. So that means that we're reducing the number of columns that we are going to pull into our table. Now we'd see our quote is still closed, but that's because we are up on this step. Now, if we go down to the next step in our applied steps, and again, if we go in here, we can see we have brought in our US dollar and say, okay, expand this And this time we don't want the last updated amount, so we can say okay. So now when you have the data in a format that you want, all you have to do is say close and load. And what this will do is close and load this as a table in your Excel spreadsheet. Now, one thing I didn't show you there, and I'll show you next time, is making sure all of your data types are correct. But we will go through that with the next API. So there is the details for the coins that we have selected. Now that particular API with the endpoint of quotes is great if you're looking for a couple of coins. But if you want to see a much larger list like what you would see on the main page of Coinmarketcap, well then you need to use this cryptocurrency listing latest. So I am going to take a copy of this, and in this again I'm going to go to data from web. I selected the wrong thing there. From web. This opens up our from web dialog box. And then we need to add our values back in here again. So I will copy my API key, and this goes in here, and our header we get from our documentation, this value here. And again, you're going to find all of these in the blog post. So I'm going to hop over to Excel and put this in here and say, okay. Now what this will do is, again, it's going to reach into Coinmarketcap and it's going to pull back the top 100 coins. So the data is our list. Convert this into a table. We're going to show the errors if there is any, and we will expand this table. Now we don't need tags, we don't need date added, we don't need the market, we don't need the last updated or the platform. Is there anything else that we don't need? We don't need the, let's say we don't need the slug, and we can say okay. Now we have the top 100 cryptocurrencies. Now it did pull in only 100. The maximum in the call that's allowed I think is 200, and if you change the parameters, the variables and the parameters, you should be able to pull them in. So now in our quotes, again, it is only in US dollars. It's default US dollars. And we're going to go through a convert in a couple of minutes. And then we can expand. We don't need the last update. We have price, all these other information, and say, okay. Now, a few minutes ago, we looked at the percentage change and I showed you what to do to convert this into an actual percentage. But you also need to look at all the other data types as well in the cells. For example, this is coming in as a text type data type, but we know it is a number. This is our market cap. So we could change this value to a whole number. And what you need to do is you actually need to go through every one of these. So this is text, this is text. We can change this to our text type. We then have maximum supply, circulating supply, total supply. These are all numbers, so we can change these to a decimal number. Price, we can change to a currency if we wanted to change it to a currency. And you need to go through all of your data types. Now, the reason for this is when you load it back into Excel, if it doesn't load back into Excel in the right data type, you won't be able to carry out any calculations on this. So now we can say file, close and load. And this is going to create a new sheet in our workbook containing all of this information. So we've got the top 100 coins. We have the max supply, the total supply, ranking, price, volume, percentage change, and we have the market cap. And you see, and I didn't pull in all of the columns. So we've got two more now that we are going to quickly look at. The list that we looked at there, we can filter this down by tags. Now, tags was one of them columns that we would have needed to expand further, but I decided not to bring it in. The decentralized finance is a very popular tag at the moment. So what we could do is at the end of latest, we put in this question mark tag equals DeFi. So that is the API call we are going to make. So we will go to data Again, we will go to from web. We can put in our URL, and then we need to go down and add in the other bits. So we have our header, which we can copy from here. Put our header in here. Then we also need to get our API key and say OK. So now this is going to bring in all of the coins that are decentralized finance listing coins only. So our data is in our list. So we want to go into our list, convert this into a table. Again, because it's in JSON format, we have to extract the information out from the JSON, and these are the steps involved. So we can bring in, we don't need the slug, we don't need the number of markets, the date added, we don't need the tag. We don't need the maximum supply. Let's not bring in any of these. Let's just make this one quite easy. And bring in our quotes. Again, I'm just going to, this time, only bring in the price. So now we have the price, the current pricing for all of the decentralized finance items that we can see here. We can change the pricing, transform this to a currency, and we can transform the other columns as well as required. And then we would close and load. Now, the last thing we're going to look at is a convert. So this final API call is going to convert to BTC. We've seen that originally the default setting is to pull current pricing in by US dollars, but quite often we're also going to need the Bitcoin price as well. So to do that, you would use the convert, and the convert allows you to convert to 120 different currencies. So we have latest.convert at the end of this, and we're converting it into Bitcoin. So if we go to our data from web, we put in our URL, we go to our advanced. In our advanced, we will copy our key and we place our key in here. And then we need our header information from the documentation. And again, like I said, you're going to find all of this together in the blog post. We'll paste this in here and say, okay. And now we will find we have all of the latest information. So I'm going to go to my list. I'm going to convert to our table. Once I have converted to our table, I am going to extract all of the information. I don't need slug, tags, maximum. I'm not going to take in any of this for the moment. I'm just going to take in the quote. We can expand this, and now we see that we have the Bitcoin value in here as well. So we can just expand this. Now we don't have the euro in here, but you can, by adding commas, add additional currencies in here. Alternatively, what you could do is merge this query with the latest query where it's pulled in all of the list in dollars, merge the two of them together. So you have your dollars and you have your Bitcoin prices together. So once you have everything as you need it, close and load it into your tables. And you see a table has been created. Then if we go back to our own sheet, I have a little table here. Once we've done this, if you wanted to, so I have holding the buy information, then we have the current information giving you your profit and loss. Now we can update this current information using VLOOKUPs, using XLOOKUPs, using index and match to the sheets that we want to pull in the current price. And that will keep our sheet updated. Now, all we have to do to update the data in any of these is go to the data ribbon, go to refresh and select refresh all. And this is going to update all of the information in all of the tables for you. So that's how you connect to the new Coinmarket API to get current pricing information for cryptocurrencies. I know I went through this video quite fast, so you might need to replay it and watch it again. And do hop over to the website and you find all of the details and more on connecting to this. I hope that you will subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet, and give this video a big thumbs up. And if you're watching on Brave, do support us with some Brave tips. Thank you for watching. Goodbye now.